Very good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Different News. Today, I have my interesting guest with me already in the studio with me. Welcome, Dr. Deepa. Thank you so much for accepting my invite and coming on my podcast. It's a really honor to have you today here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gargi, for the kind invite. It's pleasure to be here and meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, just for my audience, Dr. Deepa is the CEO of CLINEXEL Life Sciences Private Limited, and we have today a lot of insights to gather from Dr. Deepa on clinical trials, clinical research, and the most buzzword today are like pharmacovigilance, medical writing. So, Dr. Deepa, I think I will shoot you a lot and lot of questions. I hope that is okay with you.
Yeah, of course. It's a pleasure to talk about the things that we do on a daily basis. So it's wonderful. It's something clinical research, pharmacovigilance, regulatory affairs. These are very close to my heart, and I would always love to talk about them. Yes, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So, Dr. Deepa, it's very interesting to see your career trajectory. Like you studied medicine and then IIM, and now you are CEO of CLINEXEL. So, I know it's a very long journey and very interesting journey. But still, if you tell us about your journey, it will be very inspiring for all of us.
Sure, it's a pleasure. So, when I studied, doing MBBS was like everybody wants to be the doctor or engineers, and I have many doctors in my family, so I took the well-known path. And but then somewhere I wanted to do more of research work. I was very inspired with my pharmacology professor who was involved in the development of various CNS drugs, and because of his inspiration, I planned a journey in the industry, and so once I was in industry, it was like it seemed the right fit while in the industry. I started my career. With clinical trials in Dabur, and then shifted to Coctest, a UK-based CRO, from there to Reliance, and then Wokhard and Lupin. So in between, I got the opportunity to work in other fields like medical writing, regulatory affairs. I was one of the leaders in pharmacovigilance who was trained. I got pharmacovigilance training in the UK, and the clinical trials for a specific type of clinical trials. I was trained in Sweden. So that was something, it just happened the more I learned about that, the more I understood that there is a lot to learn about that. So, which kept me hooked to the field. And as I was learning, I was delivering also and growing in my career. So, I was leading clinical trials in various companies for almost clinical trials and pharmacovigilance function both for almost 15 years before I founded CLINEXEL. So it just seemed right fit, and I kept on growing. And there is a huge requirement for qualified healthcare professionals in the pharma industry. So I was like, it was I would say that it was the good fit for me.
Thank you. I know that's such a long journey, but you just told in few seconds or minutes, but it's extremely inspiring. And I think the rightly you say that we actually need more qualified healthcare professionals, looking into this kind of a career because I think somewhere it also, somewhere I'm very compatible where like how you opted for a different kind of a not a conventional path of practice and like how we do in medicine, like when we study medicine. So I think it's very inspiring, and I think with this episode, many people are going to get inspired, and I'm sure that they will also look into this area, as a career. So I think we also need to build awareness, because people are literally not very aware of I mean, I won't say existence of this career, but more like, what it is and how things work, what qualifications. I have seen a lot of confusions and, this kind of questions coming up. So thank you for sharing your journey. So, yeah, well, just as you were speaking, what I was thinking, like, was there, I mean, what was that point which actually drew your interest into this field of clinical trials and regulatory affairs? Was there any specific incident, or any point of inspiration that actually drew your interest? One, you told about your professor, that's for sure. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Uh, I mean, that was the key point. Professor Bhattacharya and there was one more, Professor Ojha. They were like, Professor Ojha was leading physician in diabetes, and Dr. Bhattacharya was the professor of pharmacology working in CNS. He was associated with various universities in the Europe and UK. So when they used to talk about the new discoveries, the kind of the way they are able to treat with the patients with these, or they Dr. Bhattacharya would talk about, like, these are the targets and receptors, and we are working on new drugs about this. So that itself was very inspiring. And in addition, right, during my MD, I was facilitated, there was support received, because he would invite the his students who were doing, DM in clinical pharmacology. In that time we had only the PGI Chandigarh, where clinical pharmacology DM was there. So he would invite his students from there, who would, train us on basics of clinical research, GCP. So that was like, that itself, the way you uh, collect the data, document everything, because basics of GCP haven't changed much. They have been more and more clarified, I would say, with the more and more new regulations coming. And how do you design the trial? How uh, what impact can it have if you don't design the trial properly? So when we used to be trained about those things, they seemed more very fascinating. And so I just continued. I wouldn't call it any specific incident, but it's more like, being nurtured in that manner, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you were very sure about, like, when you got. I mean, basically, mentors actually shape our careers. I personally believe it very much. Like, teachers
Yeah.
have a very big role to play. So you were kind of, you knew that you wanted to be in this field, and you were quite focused, and you understood the importance, and maybe your preferences was towards this field. So yeah, that's really nice to know about. How you, at a very young age, you already knew that I have to go in this field. That's really nice. uh,
Yeah.
so, Dr. Deepa, you have been in this industry for a long time now. So, so do have you? I mean to say, can you enumerate some significant changes that you have seen through time? How this area of clinical trial industry, in terms of perspective of industry, I'm asking, like, what kind of new changes you have seen over the course of your entire career?
Yeah. So this industry has been, growing in a very, I would say, systematic manner. When I started my career, there were few companies, the large ones, who would, think about coming up with new drugs, and innovative drugs, and the trials they would plan overall. the clinical development would take a defined path, uh, which was usually like longer and very well defined, but a little longer. So now we see a lot of small biotech. In fact, innovation at the moment is coming mainly from these startups, small biotech companies, who where one of the founders who believes that they have found a right discovery for a existing therapeutic gap, and then they would take that drug, or maybe it may be diagnostic or drug. They will work on it, they will raise the funds, and then they will plan the some preliminary clinical work. Post that, they typically out-license it to large pharma. So commercialization still happens by the large pharma, but one major shift has been there, that innovation comes from small biotech companies. And second is that clinical research itself, the field has become very dynamic, along with innovation. So there is a lot of focus on expediting the clinical development path. There was a study also which showed that clinical development path has become relatively shorter by 2 years as compared to the that's an average. Some drugs are even approved much earlier. So so it has become more dynamic, more adaptive. Trials are being accepted by the regulators. Adaptive is like, as the name suggests, as you conduct the trials, you can maybe start with multiple dosages, and then you can drop and you finalize your dose, optimize the dose. Especially with anti-cancer drugs, there has been a lot of uh, focus on developing the new ways to conduct the clinical trials, if I put it simply, be like that.
Thank you for that comprehensive answer, because I think it was a very broad based question, and it's also a very complex area of science. And thank you for answering that. So, uh, so Dr. Deepa, like when we are into this kind of a field like clinical research, and like as you said, just putting it in a very simple way, we generate a lot of data, if I'm not wrong. So, at like now we have this buzzword, though it is not new, but it is a buzzword again, like big data, AI. And is there something that you can highlight, or maybe about your company where CLINEXEL has some role, and how are you using this so-called new technologies? And if so, how? I mean, if you want to just share that as well with us.
Yeah, sure. Actually, IT is very, strongly used in pharma. Though people still say that there is a lot of scope to, further use IT, but even now, we are dependent a lot on the IT systems that we have, and in fact, it has made our life much easier. So, pharmacovigilance we use for case processing, safety database, and then we have medical information systems, signal detection systems, literature monitoring systems. So virtually everything is on where we use some or other databases, or so that has made our life much easier. Most importantly, these are like fully validated 21 CFR Part 11 compliant softwares that we use. So which means that there is an audit trail. You can see, you can ensure that documentation is properly maintained. You can retrieve the documentation promptly. You can get the information the way you want, like different your dashboards you can have, or you can have reports. So this has made our life much easier. In clinical trials, we use electronic data captures. So that is ECRF, which is known as. So that is very important, and which is very useful, because earlier you would go to the site and do all the source data verification, but you have now uh, all the systems there. And then within ECRF also we use edit checks, which is like where your system itself can throw the queries. I'm trying to simplify it, but I mean, so edit checks is like your system already, you can put in some reasonable questions which computer itself will detect and shoot it back, because when people are entering the data, we all are humans, we do make mistakes. So but if you have already put in that, for example, your visit 1 date cannot be later than visit 3 date. So these kind of, I'm giving a very simple example. So earlier we used to figure out, as a monitor there, when I started monitor, it's monitor's job to make sense of all the dates, but now you don't need to, because computer itself, your EDC system itself will throw all those questions, and which can be immediately corrected by the person who is doing data entry. So these are two very simple examples, but then we have all CTMS, we have ECTDs through which we submit the INDs and clinical trial applications, and then later on NDAs. So everything is very very much dependent on the IT, and large data is really very relevant for identifying new signals as well as for doing the real world evidence studies, which is something where we are very much interested and have developed capabilities.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing those insights and how you are taking forward all these things through ClinicSell. Thank you for what you do. Yeah. So I think I have some questions, so which is more like career related, and I'll come to that next. So, Dr. Deepa, being an interdisciplinary person myself, I have the basic sciences knowledge as well as I have studied dentistry and stuff. So, I have seen in the recent times, I have seen particularly women, they want to get into this area as a career, like clinical research and lot of courses. I haven't seen such kind of blast of courses as we see today on clinical research, pharmacovigilance, and all this stuff, and medical writing, of course. So, from the industry perspective, uh, or a leader in this, I mean, in this industry, what kind of qualifications or skills you think actually a person who is looking into this, getting into this career, should acquire, which will be really helpful when they join a particular company who are working in this area. Because I ask you this question, the reason behind it, because I have seen that there are a lot of qualified people who are acquiring certain kind of skills, but still they are not fit for industry. So from that point, and I get a lot of questions like this from various people. So that's why I asked you this question. Would you like to answer this?
Yeah, sure. So I would divide it into three parts. First is qualification. Second is further skill set. Maybe you can call it uh, specific skill set. And third is more importantly, the soft skills. Qualifications, of course, science background in general, preferably the healthcare professionals, which include, pharmacists, dentists, and of course, nurses. I would say physicians in the last, because physicians are the one uh, who uh, who are when we see the ratio of physicians is the minimum. But mostly I see the pharmacists who are joining, and uh, so that's why I started with them. The it's unfortunate that we don't have much detailed, you know, uh, knowledge about the industry part during the pharmacist course. I think some or any of these courses, when we have these professional, degrees going on, there have been some little bit introductions, but not to that detail. Like I said, that one of the things that motivated me was my professor taking extra efforts to, call his ex students and train us, which helped us later, immediately grow in the field also, because we had that background knowledge. So that helped us help me, so I think that is something the professors should take interest to further enhance the skills. Of course there are courses available which students take. Then second is any kind of knowledge that comes with some hands-on training, that will be important. Third most important is soft skills, because one of the things when you are in the industry is you need a kind of good presentation skills, which includes writing, and then learning tendency. uh, so that learning aptitude is very important, because you have already completed a course, you may be masters in your field, because we have a lot of M-Farms also here in CLINEXEL. But still, this is a very dynamic field. I mean, like the more you learn, more you realize that there are so many things which you do not know. So one thing I would tell every person who wants to join industry is that be prepared for a lifelong learning, because the more you learn, the more you will be able to deliver. Uh, and you would know where all the science is going, developing, because every field is developing very fast. So these are the things which become very critical, uh, and otherwise, but this industry is very, very, very interesting, as well as very much, I would say, the corporate life in general is very good. So I would recommend that more and more people should, join the industry.
Thank you for those valuable insights and the three important things as skill set, or the things that you told, because I think you are right. Like people don't know much about what's happening inside the industry, and that practical orientation is very much required. Probably like company like yours or any other people who are existing in the industry, maybe I think like we are nowadays talking about it more, but I think practically if there is industry academy collaboration, I think this actually, like how you actually got trained through your mentor, so I think that's something which we look forward to help people get into this career. Because what I saw is like people are just following somebody. I'm just doing a medical writing course or a regulatory, and as such I haven't seen a very comprehensive course that way. It's more of basics. We can just learn. We don't even pay today for getting this kind of information. So I think your insights are extremely valuable. Thank you so much for sharing those insights.
Yeah, normally, like even when we hire people here, of course, we first of all we see the qualification part. Second, we see, if they have basic knowledge. But beyond that, we what we focus is how much they intend to learn, or
Right.
take the responsibilities. Because after a certain stage, it's more like you learn as you deliver, and the more you learn, the more you grow. So it's like that's where I said soft skills become important, where you are open to learn, open to agree that open to acknowledge that you might not be knowing everything, but you are open to learn, and then work on it and deliver. So take responsibility to deliver, being disciplined. So these are not something out of the blue that is there, but
Yeah.
these make a complete difference in the way you are acknowledged in the industry.
Right. Right. Uh, Dr. Deepa, one thing which I know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like there are a lot of regulatory things related to this field. So, like for example, I mean, as a leader in this field, if there are some regulatory changes, how do you approach, or I mean, do they come as challenges, or it is like a normal norm in this industry that there are changes in regulations? So how exactly you approach them? If you just like to share that.
Yeah. I mean, mostly what I have seen with the regulators like the US FDA or EU authorities, the changes are to more, make the industry properly compliant. Kind of guidance I see that. For example, we had one big development of EU MDR coming. So it's like, making the regulations around medical devices more stringent so that as a public we get access to safer medical devices which have been tested. So I think that the end with the FDA, we see that when as they learn about the clinical trial processes, they try to convert those into guidance documents, which is actually helpful for the next companies who are developing the drugs in that field. So in general, I find these kind of regulations more helpful. The more clarity is there in the regulations, it becomes easier to work because you know what to do. When there is no clarity, when you don't have regulations, you don't know what to do. Then you even don't know what you're doing is sufficient or you are doing less. The overdoing is still fine because then your drug will be at least approved or your data will be accepted. But so the more regulations are there, I usually prefer to work in that because then you know where to go, check what is required, and then do that. And this is again coming back to the previous thing where you were asking about the how the newcomers should learn. So please
Correct.
look at the good resources also. Don't just learn from the WhatsApp or social media, but you have to go and look at what regulators are there. And these data, like you mentioned, these are freely available to us. And especially with the FDA, EMA, these data are very easily available. And with Indian regulators, they tend to accept what is there, with from FDA or EMA. So it's better to go at that. Initially, you may find challenging, especially if you are not working in that field. It becomes, little bit difficult to understand. But the moment when you start working in that area, you will be able to correlate that. Oh, I read it there, so now I can understand more. So it's always good to read and good to read from good resources.
Right. Thank you so much for giving those tips for people, because I think these are very important, and it is very helpful, because sometimes we might know that things exist, but we really don't know which path to walk, or what exactly to go and search in this world of information. Because I like this statement which I frequently make it, because COVID was pandemic, but now we are in infodemic. It's it's like so
Yes,
much
yes.
information. So yeah, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Deepa, for that answer. Um, so I think we are almost at the concluding part of our conversation. So as a industry leader and being so long in this industry, how do you envision the growth of this industry, particularly in terms of clinical trials? Like as you mentioned at the initial when we started talking about it, that more new innovations are coming from small biotech startups, which is kind of a real shift that the industry is seeing. So uh, how do you envision the growth of this area of industry and science?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on from where you are looking. So, if you because we are working globally with companies from the US, Europe, and India as well. So, if I just talk about India, I hope that there are more and more innovations that happen from India, which we unfortunately we haven't seen much. We have seen more of generic drugs coming, and definitely India is known as the pharmacy of the world. We have a lot of uh, generic drugs being developed and approved across the globe from India, but I hope that more innovations come from India. And uh, uh, in the US and Europe, the things will become more streamlined, more dynamic in terms of clinical development, but overall more streamlined. So,
Thank you, Dr. Deepa. It was wonderful talking to you, and I think I will need some more sessions with you to talk about the career itself, because it is like, as you said, it is so varied, and it has such a lot of scope that we don't even know what is existing at this point. Learning and implementing is a different story, but I think a lot of awareness needs to be created. I mean, I'm personally very connected to this industry. It allows a person to choose what area of specialization I want to be, right? If,
Yes,
I mean, if I'm
yes.
right. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of opportunities, and
yeah,
definitely we can plan one session, especially for students who are planning to join, because there is a manufacturing also, there is a marketing part also. It's mainly for healthcare professionals I'm talking about.
correct.
They can either go to the manufacturing, they can go to marketing, they can go to clinical research, they can go to pharmacovigilance, regulatory, medical writing, name it, and there are a lot of opportunities depending on your aptitude. So sure.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much once again, and it was a pleasure talking to you. And I hope to meet you in future with more such insightful conversations. Thank you, Dr. Deepa.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Gargi. Pleasure connecting with you. Thank you.